I'd like to thank my guest, Donna Lee Sunshine Hammergren, which I haven't seen physically in 6 years. I mean, we spoke about 3 days ago. And very happy to have on my channel, 10 Minutes with Gallo, as one of the first guests to be on the channel. So thanks very much, Donna, for joining us.
Only my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Great. So really what we're going to discuss is what's happening around us in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, and how and what you're currently doing during this time and keeping yourself busy from a work perspective.
Well, so I joined the company last year as a sales manager and quite busy. And so it was relatively busy as we went into COVID. The operations got, well, it increased by like 500% because you have to have permits, and you know, you're dealing with the army and you're dealing with the police, you gotta have PPE equipment. So it was very stressful. So working 7 days a week, 15 hours a day, the phone starts going from 5:30 in the morning. And my challenges were that what I found emotionally straining was that I didn't have the opportunity to almost acknowledge what was going on with other friends, and that from an emotional point of view, from the stress of the virus. So my work just consumed all of that. And it only really started once work settled down into about the 4th or 5th week, once we got into the routine of the permits and the police and the army and the schedule, did I really then get to settle down a bit and to get into my exercise. My exercise routine was, I only managed to exercise 15 or 20 minutes a day doing the super circuit at home. So it was very challenging, and Cape Talk was just my source of reliable news, you know, so I had to keep up to date. And so it was very alarming to listen to what was going on, and you know, the challenges that people were facing. And what I did realize in the first few weeks was that those that were working just so much harder because staff had been retrenched. And under different working conditions. So those that were working really, really hard and completely exhausted. And then there's the other scale where those weren't working at all. And then having to do things online, and and here we are. So, and I then, unfortunately, 3 weeks ago was retrenched. And yeah, with that, I had to then look at my other 2 businesses, which I did do on the side, which I had done for a few years already, and just looking at how I can increase those businesses and really go into marketing and advertising aggressively, which I've only really started to do in the last week. So then that has become now my source of income, and that would be online yoga teaching and selling and manufacturing these beautiful mirrors, as you see behind me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about those mirrors just behind you. They look very, very beautiful. What's your opinion in terms of whether that amount is obviously going to increase, or do you think it will eventually be under control?
Sure. Well, I'm quite the realist. Some people might say I can lean towards a pessimistic side, but having grown up in South Africa, I know the country well. I know, and I've caught trains and taxis growing up in South Africa. We were like a lower income bracket, so left off the government for a few years. So I was really down in the ground, in the trenches, you know, relying on public transport to get into school, in boarding school, government boarding school. So I know what's going on, and yeah, I would just, for me, I'm quite scared for South Africa. I try not to think about it, so I am sometimes putting the shutter over my eyes. But in the beginning, when it was very slow, people were like, oh, it's not going to touch us. We entered lockdown very quickly. And I was like, well, unfortunately, we've got a country that is very, very poor. So if people need to work, they might not even tell people that they've got the virus so that they can put food on the table. And that is, for me, the fear, is that how many people have the virus that don't communicate that to protect the livelihood of their family. Because if it was me, I'd probably do the same thing, because it's so poor, it's frightening, you know. And we've got community, and that's what's wonderful about the colored and the community and our NGOs. And there are so many NGOs that are helping those people. People will just go to work so they can feed themselves and their neighbors' kids, you know, or the guys in the streets, you know. They'll make sure that whoever's got a job in the street, that they will get to work. So it is, you know, I don't know. I think the governments are putting, you know, they're acting relatively quickly, putting hospitals together and that, but it's, I suppose we don't know. I did look at the Spanish flu, and it was just thinking correctly, up to 15 months. So we still got quite a long way to go in terms of how long it's still going to be around and how long we're going to be fighting people in hospital or having people in hospital. And obviously then with those numbers, they aren't accurate, but from 17 million, they estimate between 17 million and 45 million people died.
Wow.
So we still have some legs to go. Yeah. So I think, you know, the best thing is for people is to take the online opportunities and to just start. You know, it's like you just have to start and not be scared. And like with any business, you're always going to make mistakes, and that's how you learn. So you look at a post or whatever, and like, oh, I didn't like the color, or what I said was wrong, or I should have said more. Sure. And you can just change it. You know, so. And there's a lot of help available. So there's a lot of marketers and big brands out there that are helping people. They're doing free advertising, or they're doing free webinars on how to market yourself and how to do online advertising and build your business. So one needs to read and to listen and take the opportunity of those free webinars. And they are available, and they do help. I use them, and I've studied marketing. I still use them. I still listen to tips and tricks every day, because, you know, with technology and software, you need to keep up to date. Sometimes I feel like
100%. You mentioned hospitals just briefly. There's a major demand in terms of healthcare professionals currently. I was reading, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, about the amount of healthcare professionals that's still required, according to ratios of people being ill and the need for nurses and doctors and pharmacists. I think that's really going to be quite challenging during this time. I don't know what your opinion is about that, but there is quite a demand for those types of personnel at the moment.
Well, what would be great if they can, and, you know, I also looked at that opportunity, is how can somebody that's lost their job train to be a nurse, or how can we help? You know, how can people that have lost their jobs, how can the government or the NGOs train people up to work on the front line and, you know, to help you? And so there are NGOs that are, you know, that post, if you follow them, like Living Hope or Business for Bread, or whoever they are, you know, that if you follow them, they'll say, we need bread, or we need somebody to cut vegetables, or we need somebody to pack food, or we need somebody to just drive our stock from A to B. So there's a lot of opportunity, and you can earn money doing those things with an NGO. So those are some things to do. But definitely, how can the government train people to be just like an entry-level nurse, or how can we do that? So I think the opportunity is to set up quickly some training centers that train nurses and, you know, on whatever level in a very short, quick period of time to help. And it's quite interesting because nursing and surgery has always been a profession I've been interested in. My mom had a lot of big operations, and I think doctors are not credited for the work that they do. And it's been a shortage skills list for many years before coronavirus, if you search any country, their biggest shortage skills is nurses and doctors and psychologists.
Sure.
So it's not the chosen profession, because people say, well, I don't want to do that because the money is with in accounting or commerce or online, or so, people want to have flashy careers, but they don't want to be of service. So it was a big gap before, so now it's just a bigger gap. So yeah, I mean, we need to look at ways of how we can get the government to train people, and that's creating opportunities. So
fully agree. And then of course, I mean, you spoke about psychologists. So there's such a lot of people that is during this lockdown that's going through major depression. And I mean, how have you been coping during this lockdown period? How have you been keeping yourself sane?
Sure. Well, I also have good days and bad days. So being a salesperson, always being in the field, I have enjoyed, like I said, the first few weeks, I was just so busy, I was exhausted. So I was on the phone most of the day. But I phoned SADAG and I offered if I could be just a support telephonically, but unfortunately I'm not a trained therapist or trauma counselor, so they said unfortunately not, it's an 8-week course that I'd have to do. But so it's difficult, and I think the support groups that are already in place and people that had support groups that they were going to, like NA or AA or codependency groups, they already have their community and they've been helping each other, but it's so difficult. So I know the suicide rates have increased. It's something you don't hear about. You don't see the numbers. You see the numbers of deaths. You see the numbers of car accidents and that. And it's always very hush. But if you like following somebody just as big as The Rock, I mean, he will say like, I was feeling sad today, or Oprah, she'll say, so big people, they say like, I had a bad day today, and it's fine to say that. And it's getting people to realize that they're not alone in that feeling, and it's understanding that, and that is what's very difficult, is when you consume with the sadness, you feel like it's always that feeling of loneliness. And so the best thing is always to reach out to people, however, send them a text message. And if people are sad and looking for ways to get out of it, the best way is always to help. So if you've lost your job, or if you generally are quite depressed, that going out and seeing how I can help, phone the Haven Night Shelter, or phone an NGO, or Bright Vibes Media, or Good Things Guy in South Africa, they post NGOs that need help. Those are the ones who can support. You can phone them or text them, and they'll say, oh, can you do this? And in giving back and helping others, you're so busy there, you forget about your own stuff, and you're exposed to other people, what they are going through. So, and in that connectedness, you lose that feeling of isolation and loneliness, and depression and sadness is very much I'm on my own. There's no one helping me. So it's to break that, and the best way to break that is by helping others, reaching out. Yeah.
Absolutely. So my next question is really about, all these conspiracy theories that's going around with regards to COVID-19, and it's creating fear in people's minds. And if you put fear in people's minds, you can control them. And the likes of David Icke, etc., that's going around there. What's your opinion on that?
Just what are those conspiracy theories? I've only heard one actually, and that was just before it was shut down. So before it shut down. You mentioned David.
Yeah, so David Icke as an example, he's saying that this is a man-made disease, and it's a means to keep people sort of locked in whilst they're busy taking over the world and putting fear in people's minds, etc., and bringing in a one world currency as an example. I don't know if you heard of those conspiracy theories.
Now that you mentioned it, yes. And also they wanted the stock market to fall, so they're trying to buy stocks. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So, well, I haven't given that much thought because I've been very much involved with like motivating people and helping people. That hasn't really, I haven't allowed that space, gone into that space. Well, I think, I think a lot about the people in the front line, the nurses and the ER and your personal trainers, those motivational speakers. And I think that I have been so involved in that to worry or consider that, because, and in a way that's actually a good thing for those that are getting really caught up in that. It's that you can, but whilst you're thinking of that, people are dying. So like, how can I rather help people? Because whether it's a conspiracy theory, I suppose one never knows. But I haven't actually done my research into it, so I can't really comment on that. I think you've given me some homework to do.
Right, I hear you. You've got children, right? And am I correct? You do have children.
I've got a daughter, yeah.
Okay, and is she back at school at the moment?
So she's with Redham, so the private school.
Yeah.
So I can only speak for Redham and how it's been for us. Being at the Redham Constantia House, it has been full on. There are days when I couldn't do my work because my daughter's in grade 4. She's not grade 6, 7, or 8, where she needs my help. She needs me to be there, and the classes started at 7:45. She needed to be online at 7:45. Teacher starts at 8, and because you have that, I suppose the financial means, you had to deliver. So they know you've got Wi-Fi at home. They know you've got computers. The kids had to be online. There were tests every day. They had 6 hours of online schooling and 3 different apps that they used to submit stuff. So the school very quickly, before lockdown, they already said that the week before lockdown, the schools, they didn't go back to school.
Okay.
And they really started the online then. And my daughter's now just written, today was the last day, but she wrote 5 exams. So they got the exam was from 8 till 10, and she's grade 4. So it's like, she's quite young. And then the rest of the day off. So it was a lot of work. But it's really nice to have the opportunity to be at home with her, because I've always been working, so she's always been at school for long hours.
Right.
So the positives that I've taken out of it was that I had that experience with her and the time with her, but it was a lot of work. And they miss their friends, they miss the discipline of school and the structure, and yeah, they miss their friends. So yeah.
No, absolutely. There's a lot of parents out there that has very conflicting concerns about whether they send their children to school or not. And it's quite understandable.
Yeah, so with my daughter, so she would be going back to school, if I remember correctly, it will be 10th of August, just to be corrected.
Okay.
So my daughter's father has an immune deficiency.
Okay.
And she has like a kind of a viral infection that she carries with, and so the 2 of them often get sick.
Okay.
So for me, it's a scary thought, but he has been working in not essential services, but he has been able to work around it, and luckily he hasn't got sick yet. So as you know, anybody with an immune deficiency disorder very likely to get sick. So that is a concern, because the kids carry a virus without you recognizing any symptoms. And that's the thing with children being exposed to it, that they won't show any symptoms, but they can be carriers. So, and that is what those that understand that are fearful of. So the kids will be fine, but they'll bring the virus home, and if you've got old people that you're caring for in the house, like the grandparents, then they're going to get sick. So it's the ripple effect of it, I think, more. And then the amount of stress that the teachers are placed under. But it's a different environment. On Cape Talk this morning, they were saying, well, the teachers need to deliver like the frontline workers are delivering. But a frontline nurse, for example, in that environment, everybody is clothed and masked. There's sterilized equipment everywhere. It's a hospital environment. At a school, it's kids running around to get to do everything. So it's not the same. And teachers are really stressed. And I put myself in their shoes, and I would be quite scared, because not only do they have the pressure from the governing body of the school, so the teachers and the head and the principal, they also have the pressures from the parents. If, God forbid, one child gets sick, the parents, so it's a multiple ripple effect with the kids going back to school. I do, so some, countries say that, you've just got to slowly let the economy back, and eventually you'll become immune to it. I don't know. If I had a school, if I owned a school, a high school or junior school, would I try to integrate back in? Yeah, I would try. You're always going to get people that are going to be unhappy. Doesn't matter what you do. Outside of COVID, there's always going to be unhappy parents, happy parents. You just got to learn to cope with it. So there is the additional emotional baggage that comes with it. But what can you do? And for the kids that are going to government schools that don't have money for Wi-Fi and for computers, they need to get back to school. They need to, they're going to lose a full year, and their parents also, their parents need to go to work. It's really, really difficult. And I feel, people criticize the government making wrong decisions. All I can say is that I'm so happy that I'm not in that position, that I have to make the decisions, because no matter what you do, people will be happy or people will be, angry. So it's really, really tough.
Yeah, we don't have to make those decisions, luckily, unfortunately. Tell me, if you had the power to make a decision that's positive in the world and to make it a better place, what would you do and why would you do it during these circumstances?
That's a big question. So right now, at this time, I think it would just be to let people have a level of compassion and be able to give back. So if everybody could give 10 or 20% of their time to giving back in whatever way that is, so be that online, giving people free motivational messages daily, or packing sandwiches for a Haven night shelter, or for an orphanage, or driving nurses and staff back and forth in the morning or in the evening after their work. Because in giving back, or if their work is really, really busy, they can give back by donating. Because if they're working, they are getting money in. And so just looking for ways on how each individual can be compassionate. And because in that we move away from the depression and the sadness and the overwhelming feeling of, it's all kind of closing in, because we're then kind of like sharing the load. So I think, because I'm supposed to make it disappear, but I think the good thing about it is that people have changed the way of thinking. Business has changed, and that is what a lot of people, myself included, wanted. It's been something that, I've been in the age of technology, and it's so fast and it's so busy, and we're so compounded by the demands of the 21st century that so many people have already been depressed before COVID came around, and then it's almost like in the beginning there were so many people that were relieved that we had this because we could have a break. So I don't want to wish it away. I maybe wish it would have come differently, maybe not lose so many people. But it's, as they say, without pain there's no growth. So
100%.
yes. So I wish it would be to just help those that are struggling, and that everybody has a level of compassion to give back.
So we are people through other people, really.
Correct.
So
Yes.
just in terms of support, how can people support you to support others during this time?
So, well, I do online yoga. So I do strength yoga, but I'm going to be starting some other classes like trauma yoga for trauma and yoga for nurses. That's one thing I want to start doing. And what I am doing is donating 30% of whatever revenue I bring in to the NGO that I take care of, which is Living Hope, and they take care of Masipu, Malena, and Ocean View. So because I'm quite a small individual, they already have big programs set up where they help the kids and they help, there's rehab and there's for the sick people, and they distribute medication for critically ill patients into those settlement areas. Oh. So I have been there, and also because they're close to me, so I can go there. I know where my money is going. So those are one thing I do. And mirrors, if anybody's redecorating their house or moving house.
Very, very
or
nice.
hotel. Yeah, so natural wood. Yeah, so those are the two things I'm focusing on. And yeah, I'm going to be doing some trauma counseling courses also, so that I can help also just be more educated to help more and to give back.
Sure. So your information in terms of people getting hold of you, of course I will place it on the link below our channel. Do you want to share that now? You're welcome to share that with me privately, and then I can just share it to our viewers.
Yeah, I can share it. Well, so on Instagram, my yoga practice is Donna Lee Sunshine on Instagram, and my mirrors are Mirrors O Wood, but obviously with the spelling, I'll send that to you. So, and that is on Facebook as well, and all my contact details are on there.
Fabulous. Donna, it was absolutely lovely seeing you in person after so long. I mean, it's been years and years. It was a privilege to have you as one of my guests, or one of my first guests on the show. And it's all about people and making sure people are okay during this time.